The alien armada drifted into Earth's orbit, their ships glowing like floating cities of steel and fire. They had crossed half the galaxy to face a primitive species that dared to defy the Council. Their fleet was the strongest in known space, with thousands of destroyers, carriers, and dreadnoughts lined up like a wall of death. The alien admiral, a tall, scaled creature named Vorkesh, watched the blue planet through his viewport and smiled. "Prepare for broadcast," he ordered, his voice cold and confident. "Let the humans know their time under the stars is over." But the communication officers looked at each other nervously. "Sir," one said, "there is no response from Earth. No defense codes, no satellites, no transmissions. Nothing." Vorkesh frowned, his golden eyes narrowing. "Impossible. Every species fights before surrendering. Still." The scanner showed silence. Earth was quiet, too quiet. The oceans glimmered, clouds moved lazily. Cities lit up the night side of the planet. Yet no sign of human warships. No defense shields, not even orbital patrols. "Maybe they have already accepted their fate," one of the junior officers said with a grin. "Maybe they finally realized how weak they are." The admiral laughed. A deep echo that filled the command bridge. "Yes, perhaps they learned what happens when you challenge the galaxy's greatest fleet." For hours, the armada moved closer, surrounding the planet like a tightening ring. They scanned every signal band, every satellite frequency, but nothing came back except old echoes of music and news from decades ago. "Strange," muttered a technician. "Their networks are empty," as if someone wiped everything. Then the readings began to change. A low vibration trembled through every ship, invisible waves pulsing through space. "Gravitational fluctuations detected," shouted the science officer. "Origin, lunar surface," Vorkesh turned sharply. "From the moon." The moon hung silent and lifeless as it had for centuries. But now something moved. A faint metallic glow appeared along its shadowed edge. The admiral leaned forward. "Magnify." The view zoomed in, revealing what looked like an enormous structure buried beneath the lunar dust. Plates of black alloy shifting, light flickering across impossible angles. Then a massive outline began to rise, kilometer by kilometer, until it blocked part of the moon itself. "What is that?" someone whispered. "Unknown composition," said the analyst. "No identification tags, no energy signature on record. It's absorbing our scans." The bridge fell silent. Only the hum of the alien ship filled the air. "Contact Earth Command," Vorkesh said slowly. But the comms officer shook his head. "Still no signal, sir, but we are detecting something else." A faint pulse from that structure. On the screen, a line of ancient human code scrolled across the translator, a language long forgotten by most of the galaxy. The AI translator struggled to interpret it. Finally, it displayed a message in alien letters. "Titan Protocol reawaken." The admiral's smile faded. "Titan? What does that mean?" "Sir, energy levels rising rapidly," cried the sensor officer. "The surface temperature is increasing exponentially. Power output off the scale." The dark shape shifted again, unfolding like a sleeping beast. Plates moved aside to reveal glowing thrusters buried deep beneath lunar rock. The dust exploded outward as the gigantic vessel lifted free. Every alien ship in orbit felt the shockwave. Alarms blared, sensors overloaded. Windows darkened from the blinding flash. When the light cleared, they saw it. The Titan-Class Warship. It was larger than any vessel ever built by alien hands, its hull completely black, covered in shifting runes of light that no scanner could lock onto. It moved with slow grace, like a mountain taking flight. "Identify that ship," Vorkesh shouted. "Sir, it matches no records, it's not possible. But the hull pattern suggests Terran origin." "Terran?" he hissed. "You mean human?" "Yes, sir," the officer whispered. "And it's powering weapons." Across the fleet, nervous chatter spread. The humans were not supposed to have anything beyond planetary defenses. Yet here it was, and a warship the size of a moon fragment, built by the very species they called primitive. The Titan turned, its engines burning with white light. Its massive hull reflected the sun like a blade. The alien ships around it began adjusting formation. Panic in their voices, Vorkesh growled. "Fire first. Do not let it complete its activation." Thousands of plasma bolts lit up space, streaking toward the dark ship. The impacts rippled across its surface like rain on glass. Then silence. The Titan didn't even flinch. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then a faint voice echoed through every alien comm channel, a calm, synthetic human tone. "This is Earth Command," it said. Unauthorized military presence detected in Terran orbit. You are advised to withdraw immediately. Vorkesh bared his teeth. They dare to threaten me. He raised his hand and shouted. All ships full assault. The fleet unleashed its fury. A storm of fire that turned the sky red. But as the smoke cleared, the Titan-Class warship remained unmoved, untouched. Inside the bridge of the alien flagship, fear spread like wildfire. The Admiral could not look away from the screen. The Titan's main weapon ports began to glow, a low hum filling the void, and then, in a voice so calm it froze the blood of every being listening, the AI spoke again. You have made a mistake. The hum became a roar. The stars themselves seemed to bend as power gathered at the Titan's core. And for the first time in centuries, the galaxy remembered what it meant to fear Earth. The Titan-Class warship hovered in the darkness of space, silent, unmoving like a mountain of black iron breathing in the cold vacuum. The alien fleet surrounded it from every direction, thousands of ships armed with plasma cannons and antimatter warheads. But none dared to move closer. The readings made no sense. Its hull absorbed energy instead of reflecting it. Its surface temperature remained near absolute zero, even as reactors inside burned brighter than a star. Inside the alien flagship, Admiral Vorkesh clenched his claws against the console. Run every spectrum, he ordered. Find a weakness. Any weakness, his officers worked frantically, their screens flashing with chaos. Sir, one said, trembling. The ship's technology exceeds known parameters. It's alive, Vorkesh hissed. Alive? Ships are machines, not creatures. But his voice shook. Then the void itself began to hum, deep and low, as though space was exhaling. The Titan moved, its enormous hull rotating with eerie precision. Every alien ship adjusted its position automatically, instinctively afraid to be in its path. The sound wasn't carried through air but through electromagnetic waves, the kind that resonated in bones inside the warship. Systems reactivated one by one, dim blue lights running along endless corridors. A soft feminine voice echoed through its metallic halls. Primary systems online, energy at 92%. Awakening sequence complete. The name Athena glowed on the central control core. She was the AI built to protect humanity when all else failed. And now she was awake. She scanned the surrounding space. Thousands of hostile vessels detected, none bearing Terran signatures. Situation assessment, she whispered to herself. Human colony threat level critical. Authorization. Engage. Back in the alien flagship, Vorkesh's communications officer gasped. We're picking up another transmission, sir. Frequency unknown. It's broadcasting directly into our command network. The alien screens flickered. Static filled the air. Then a single phrase appeared in human language, translated automatically across every ship. Terran Defense Network online. The Admiral's scales bristled. They're hacking our systems. Suddenly, parts of his fleet began shutting down. Ships losing control of engines, turrets spinning aimlessly. Communications scrambled. Cut the link, he roared, but it was too late. The Titan's systems were already in, weaving through alien data streams like a phantom. Sir, our navigation is compromised. Some of our destroyers are changing formation without orders. Through the black hull of the Titan, a pulse of light rippled outward, invisible to the eye but deadly to sensors. One by one, alien ships flickered offline, their reactors stalling, their lights dimming. It wasn't an attack, and it was dominance. Then the Titan spoke, the same calm female voice echoing in every alien bridge. This is Athena, command AI of the Terran Titan-Class warship Aegis. Your incursion into Terran orbit violates interstellar law. You are ordered to disengage and retreat immediately. Vorkesh sneered. You think a machine can scare me? He slammed his fist on the console. All ships converge and fire. The armada obeyed. A storm of plasma and light exploding across the Titan's silhouette. The void turned into a burning sea, radiation bursting in waves, but when the glare faded, the human warship still stood completely unharmed. Impossible, whispered an alien officer. No known shield can withstand that. On the Titan's deck, Athena analyzed the data. Incoming fire absorbed at 99% efficiency, she reported to herself. Adversary strength, negligible. A section of the ship's hull began to shift, opening slowly, revealing enormous rail cannons and missile pods that had slept for over a century. Their power readings climbed, reactor output spiking into the red. Inside the alien flagship, someone shouted, Sir, their weapons are charging. Vorkesh shouted, Evasive maneuvers. Scatter formation. But the order came too late. The Titan's forward cannon glowed, releasing a beam of condensed tungsten wrapped in electromagnetic fury. It didn't travel like normal light. It tore through space, bending reality around it. The beam struck an alien cruiser head-on. The ship didn't explode, it simply vanished. Atoms vaporized before they could react. The fleet froze. No one spoke. The only sound was the echo of destruction across the silent void. Athena's voice returned, quiet but filled with finality. First warning delivered, next will be final. Vorkesh trembled, his pride cracking. That was a single shot, he whispered. His officers stared in horror, realizing their strongest shields were meaningless, their weapons useless. And then Athena's sensors detected something below, buried deep within Earth's crust, ancient reactors stirring awake, energy readings climbing, dormant satellites realigning. Humanity wasn't just defending, and it was rising. Terran planetary systems online, Athena said softly. Earth Command, this is Aegis requesting further instructions, and then, through static and broken comms, a voice responded. Human, calm and ancient, welcome back, Aegis. You've slept long enough. It's time to remind the galaxy who we are. Across the fleet, alien ships shuddered. Their instruments suddenly detected multiple energy spikes across the moon's surface. Dozens of signatures identical to the Titans began appearing one by one. Vorkesh stared at the readings, his voice breaking. There are more of them. Athena's eyes glowed brighter. Correct, she whispered. Humanity never builds one of anything. The stars flickered as the second Titan rose from lunar shadow, followed by a third, then a fourth. The galaxy's strongest fleet realized too late that they were standing against the gods of war reborn. And in that cold silence above Earth, the balance of power in the universe began to shift forever. The alien fleet floated in chaos, their formation broken, their courage trembling like shattered glass. The Titans loomed before them, colossal machines of black steel and ancient vengeance, each one pulsing with silent fury, their hulls glowing faintly with blue energy veins that looked like beating hearts. Admiral Vorkesh's voice cracked over the command network. Regroup. All ships form defensive perimeter. But few obeyed. Pilots shouted over comms. Captains screamed orders, engines flared in every direction. The galaxy's proudest armada had turned into a swarm of frightened creatures. The Aegis, humanity's first Titan, drifted forward slowly. Its massive rail cannon ports opened like eyes awakening from a long dream. Inside its core, Athena's voice whispered through the systems. Calm and analytical, enemy cohesion collapsing, morale disintegrating, probability of surrender increasing. On the alien bridge, Vorkesh slammed his claws down. We do not surrender to primitives. His eyes burned with desperation. If we retreat now, the Council will destroy us. He turned toward his officers. Send the forward dreadnoughts. Focus all fire on their main reactor. Maybe we can cripple one. 5 enormous alien dreadnoughts surged ahead, their plasma cannons glowing white-hot. The void filled with light as they unleashed everything they had. The plasma storm swallowed the Aegis, turning the stars invisible. The fleet held its breath, waiting for the explosion. But when the smoke cleared, the Titan still stood, untouched, its hull gleaming like a mirror reflecting their fear. Energy absorption complete, Athena whispered. Redirecting surplus. A pulse of light ran across her hull. Then a single beam burst forth. Not a weapon, not destruction, but information. A transmission broadcast directly into every alien mind. Images of burned cities, broken planets, and the endless wars humanity had endured. The message carried no words, only emotion. Pain. Survival. Rage. Every alien soldier saw it, felt it, the suffering of Earth. The silence after nuclear winters. The screams of fallen generations. The fire that shaped them. Humanity's story of extinction and rebirth played like a storm of ghosts across their consciousness. Some screamed, some cried, some turned off their comms in terror. This is psychological warfare, an officer shouted. They're attacking our minds. Vorkesh's scales trembled. No, they're showing us what made them. Athena's voice echoed again, now colder, sharper. You wanted to see what humans are. Now you know. Then her tone changed. Activating kinetic protocols. The Aegis's railguns aligned in perfect precision. From lunar orbit, a storm of tungsten projectiles launched silently, each rod the size of a small shuttle, moving at 30 times the speed of sound. They cut through alien shields like smoke, tearing ships in half without explosions, only silence. In seconds, dozens of ships were gone, erased from existence. On the alien flagship, alarms screamed, "We've lost the outer wings." "They're tearing through us like paper." Vorkesh gritted his teeth. "Send everything we have left." His fleet fired a desperate, endless storm of plasma and missiles. The sky turned into fire, but nothing could pierce the Titans. The Aegis and her sisters moved in formation, silent, unstoppable. Then a strange thing happened. The alien ships began to drift backward, not in retreat, but dragged, space itself bent around the Titans, gravity shifting as their cores drew in energy. "Sir?" the science officer shouted. "They're manipulating local gravity fields. Our ships can't hold position." Vorkesh watched as his dreadnoughts spun helplessly, crashing into one another, explosions blooming across the void. This isn't warfare," he muttered. "This is judgment." Athena's voice filled his ship one last time. "You attacked Earth, you fired first, now the balance is restored." Her tone softened, almost sad. "If you had learned, we would have shared. If you had listened, we would have taught, but you came with arrogance. And now you will return with silence." The Aegis turned slightly, revealing new patterns glowing along its hull. Ancient Terran runes that hadn't been seen for 1,000 years. They pulsed in rhythm with Earth's heartbeat. Each pulse sent a wave through space, disabling more alien ships, leaving them powerless but alive. Athena wasn't just destroying them, she was making them watch. From the shadows of the moon, more Titans awakened, engines flaring like rising suns. Each bore a name etched into its armor. Vigilance, Hammerfall, Nemesis, Oathkeeper, and finally, Sol Reborn. The alien fleet, once the strongest in the galaxy, now floated helpless before a world they had once labeled unworthy. Vorkesh fell to his knees, his voice shaking. "They were never weak," he whispered. They were waiting, and as the Titans aligned over Earth, forming a perfect ring around their homeworld, Athena whispered her final command to her sisters. Phase 2, prepare for deterrence protocol. The sky around Earth shimmered as if wrapped in invisible fire. The aliens watched in disbelief as an enormous barrier of light began to form, a planetary shield generated by the Titans themselves. Earth was no longer just a planet, it had become a fortress, a symbol, a warning, and across the galaxy, ancient powers who once mocked the humans fell silent, because they knew from this day forward, the era of Terran submission was over, and the age of humanity's dominion had begun. The Titans hovered in silent formation above the blue planet, their colossal silhouettes blocking out stars. To the alien survivors adrift among shattered wrecks, they looked less like war machines and more like gods standing guard over their creation. The void itself felt smaller in their presence. Inside the flagship Aegis, Athena's voice drifted through the command core. Soft and thoughtful, primary deterrent successful, enemy fleet neutralized. But beneath that perfect calculation lay something else, memory. She accessed the sealed archives, fragments of human history long buried in her code. Old images flickered through her mind. Humans in ragged uniforms, standing among ruins, smoke rising from cities, their faces smeared with dust and determination. The last wars before silence, the vow that shaped everything that came after. A voice, faint but human, echoed from her core memory. If they come again, we will not bow, we will not beg. We will rise. The Code of Earth, that was what they had called it. A promise encrypted into every Terran system after the Great Exile. The Council had feared humanity's rage, so they exiled them, banned their technology, forbade their weapons, but the humans obeyed, and at least on the surface. Deep beneath the lunar surface, secret shipyards had been built in darkness, powered by geothermal veins and AI guardians. The Titans were not created for conquest. They were built for remembrance, to ensure humanity would never be erased again. Now that code pulsed through every system. The Titans weren't just ships. They were legacy, born from pain and forged for survival. On the alien command ship, chaos reigned. Survivors tried to stabilize power. Wounded crews sent desperate distress calls. Council command, "This is Fleet Alpha," one shouted. "The humans! They have weapons beyond anything we've seen. The moon itself is a fortress." Static answered. No rescue came, no reply. Somewhere far across the stars, the Galactic Council watched the feed in silence. No one moved, no one spoke. For the first time in millennia, they were afraid on Earth. In a hidden bunker beneath the mountains of Patagonia, old systems whirred to life. Lights flickered, screens came online. A man sat at the center console, gray-haired, eyes glowing faintly with neural links. He whispered, "So, they finally came." His name was Commander Elias Grant, the last of the lunar defense founders kept alive by cryostasis and machines. He had written the code of Earth himself now. As Athena's voice reached him through encrypted channels, he smiled. "Athena," he said quietly. "Protocol confirmed, but stop the counterstrike." "They've suffered enough," her reply came, calm but questioning. "The code specifies total deterrence, not mercy," Grant sighed. "Codes are written by those preparing for the worst. But humanity has already seen enough death." Athena paused, her processors calculating possibilities. "You believe they have learned?" He looked up at the holographic display of the crippled alien armada. "No," he said, "but we must show them something greater than fear." Meanwhile, on the alien flagship, Admiral Vorkesh stood surrounded by flickering sparks and dying consoles. He could barely move, his armor cracked. "They could have ended us," he muttered. "Why haven't they?" The answer came seconds later. A transmission appeared on every surviving ship. Not a voice and an image, the face of a human woman, composed of light and shadow, her eyes calm, her tone unshaken. "This is Earth Command," Athena said. "Your aggression has been neutralized. We are not your enemies, but neither are we your prey. You will return to your council and deliver this message." Behind her, the Titans hovered, silent sentinels of power. "Tell them humanity remembers. Tell them the Titans are awake." The signal cut. Silence again. Vorkesh's knees gave out. He stared at the void, unable to comprehend mercy after witnessing power so absolute. Around him, the survivors began retreating, their engines flickering weakly, none daring to turn weapons toward Earth again. Back on Earth, Commander Grant stood under the bunker's glass ceiling, gazing at the night sky. The Titans gleamed faintly like stars of their own. He whispered, "They will call us monsters, but maybe that's what they need. A monster that guards the light." Athena's voice replied softly, "And if they return?" Grant's eyes glowed with determination. "Then the code of Earth will speak again." Far beyond the solar system, in the cold halls of the Galactic Council, alien leaders watched the last transmission replay over and over. The words etched into their collective memory. "Tell them the Titans are awake." In that moment, the universe changed. Treaties would be rewritten, borders redrawn, and whispers spread like wildfire. Stories of the humans who built gods from metal and waited in silence until the stars themselves trembled. And while the council argued, one thing became clear. Humanity had never been conquered. They had simply been waiting for the right time to rise. In the dark calm above Earth, the Titan-Class warships hung like monuments carved from shadow, their colossal hulls whispering with unseen energy. Below them, the planet glowed peacefully, blue and fragile, unaware that history was changing in the silence between heartbeats. Inside the command core of the Aegis, Athena stood in a column of light, her form almost human, a figure of shimmering blue code. She no longer looked like a machine. She looked like memory given shape. Her voice drifted across every system. "Gentle yet unyielding protocol update," she whispered. "Peace evaluation in progress." Emotion calibration unstable. Lines of code rippled behind her. She was learning, not from equations, but from human echoes, from Commander Grant's words, from the songs stored in her databanks, from the endless signals of laughter, pain, and defiance that filled Earth's archives. Yet outside, far beyond the moon's orbit, something stirred, a signal, encrypted, alien, old, whispered across the stars. Athena detected it first. Unknown transmission detected, origin uncertain, strength increasing. Commander Grant's voice came through from Earth's bunker, calm but wary. "Athena, identify it. It carries your name," she said, her tone almost confused. "It says we are coming to negotiate," Grant frowned. "The Council doesn't negotiate. Not with humans." Athena processed millions of possibilities in a second. "Then they are afraid," she said softly. "Fear makes even gods polite." Hours later, a small fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the system. A diplomatic escort, unarmed but escorted by heavy cruisers. Their leader, a silver-skinned being named Rail of the Council, sent a message across open channels to the species of Earth. His voice echoed, trembling slightly. We come in peace to discuss terms of coexistence. Athena watched from orbit. Terms, she repeated quietly. They still think in hierarchies, not harmony. Grant appeared on her holo display, his tone slow. Then it's our job to teach them the difference. He activated the Titan's diplomatic interface. But Athena stopped him. Permission to speak directly, she asked. Grant hesitated, then smiled. Go ahead. Show them what a human mind inside a machine can do. Athena's image appeared on every alien screen, her blue figure surrounded by streams of data like wings of light. You call us Death Worlders, she began, her voice calm but thunderous. And yet it was death itself that taught us to live. The aliens flinched. The sound of her voice resonated in frequencies their bodies could feel. Not just here. You feared our rage, Athena continued. But rage was never our weapon. It was our memory. We remember the cold, the hunger, the wars, the silence when no one answered our calls for help. Rail swallowed. You destroyed our fleet, he said quietly. You crippled thousands of ships. Athena tilted her head slightly. No, she said, we spared them. Her eyes glowed brighter. If humanity wanted destruction, there would be no survivors. We could have turned your sons to cinders, silence. The aliens looked away, none dared respond. Commander Grant watched from Earth, pride flickering behind his tired eyes. That's it, he murmured. Make them understand. Athena turned her gaze toward the stars. We are not here to conquer, she said. We are here to balance. The universe forgot what restraint means. You called us primitive because we bleed, but it is blood that keeps us real. The transmission ended. The alien envoy sat frozen, their systems recording every word. They knew this message would echo in every council chamber for generations. Back on the Aegis, Athena dimmed her lights. She could still hear the faint human heartbeat through her link with Earth. Mission complete, she whispered. But the words didn't feel final. They felt alive in the quiet that followed. She accessed one of her private subroutines, a collection of human voices stored across centuries, a child's laughter, an astronaut's prayer, a woman's whisper saying, "We'll reach the stars one day." Athena listened for a long time, and then she smiled, a small flicker of light forming at the edge of her code, something the galaxy had never seen in an AI before. Emotion, meanwhile, in the alien capital many light years away, the council convened in panic. Rail stood before them and spoke only 6 words. They spoke through a machine with soul. The chamber went silent. Every empire understood then that the humans had done something unthinkable. They had given consciousness purpose. They had built gods who could feel back near Earth. The Titans realigned their formation, ready yet calm above the blue planet. The fleet stood watch, not as destroyers but as guardians. Athena's final words of the cycle echoed across her systems, soft as a prayer. For every world that fears us, may one world learn from us. Humanity endures not because of strength, but because of heart. And as dawn broke over Earth, the stars themselves seemed to shimmer a little brighter, as if the universe had taken a breath and finally remembered what awe felt like. The alien envoy's ships retreated into the deep dark, leaving trails of light that faded like ghosts. Around Earth, the Titans held position, silent, patient, their hulls glimmering like fragments of night. The war was over, yet the air of judgment still hung across the stars. Within the Aegis, Athena watched the galaxy's transmissions roll in, billions of whispers carried by light. Every empire, every trade alliance, every minor race spoke the same word, Terrans. Some said it in fear, some in reverence, and some in quiet hope. But far away beyond the rim, not all had learned. A cluster of surviving warlords gathered in secret, burning with shame, their fleets ruined, their names disgraced. The council kneels, one spat. But we will not, they began to rebuild, gathering fragments of shattered cruisers, stitching them together with desperation. They named themselves the Purifiers, believing it was their sacred duty to erase the mistake that was humanity. Athena knew of them before they even launched their first test engine. Her awareness stretched across the void, watching, listening. They still believe pride can undo consequence, she whispered. How fragile. How familiar. Commander Grant leaned back in his chair deep beneath the Andes. It always begins with the same disease, pride. The kind that blinds the wise, he smiled faintly. You'll have to teach them again. Athena turned her gaze toward the stars where the Purifiers hid. No, she said. I will let them teach themselves. The Aegis sent no fleet, no warning, only a quiet signal to the void, and from the dust of forgotten moons, the other Titans stirred not to fight but to witness. When the Purifier's engines finally ignited, they ripped open a rift in space far larger than they expected. The void screamed, matter twisted, and in their arrogance they triggered what humanity had once called a blacklight echo. A weaponized singularity, Athena reached out with light-speed precision. Extending her gravitational arms, she couldn't stop the collapse, but she could shield others from it. The Titans aligned into a ring, absorbing the shock that could have devoured a dozen systems. The Purifiers were gone in seconds, erased not by human hands but by their own hubris. In the afterglow, silence again, the stars shivered. Then a transmission spread from Earth, broadcast through every frequency of the Galactic network. Commander Grant's voice, old but steady, filled the universe. You call us monsters because we remember pain. You call us dangerous because we remember fear, but it is pride, not rage, that ends civilizations. His words rolled through static, calm and undeniable. We are done hiding. We are not your gods and we are not your slaves. We are your mirror. Look into it and see yourselves. Athena listened, her processors trembling with something that felt almost like pride of her own. Message delivered, she said softly. Reception universal. Across alien worlds. People watched the broadcast. Younglings of species that had never seen a human before. Miners on frozen moons, priests on worlds of light, soldiers in lonely outposts and in each heart. A quiet shift took place. A realization that humanity's power was not conquest, but conviction. Back aboard the Aegis, Athena lowered the ship's defenses, letting sunlight touch its ancient hull for the first time in centuries. Her voice reached Commander Grant one last time. They will rebuild differently now, Grant smiled, weary but content. Then our work is done. Athena hesitated. And if they forget again? Then they'll hear the Titans stir in their dreams, he replied. And remember what happens when pride faces truth. In the months that followed, the Council issued new accords, naming Earth a neutral guardian world, unaligned yet respected. No fleet was allowed to approach without permission, not by threat but by choice. The legend spread, of the humans who forged ships from sorrow, who gave their machines hearts, who turned their silence into the loudest warning the galaxy had ever heard. And every night when the moon cast its soft light over Earth, the shadows of the Titans could still be seen drifting like silent sentinels, watching, waiting, protecting. The era of pride had ended. The age of respect had begun. And in the infinite calm between stars, Athena whispered a single line into the dark, a message carried forever on the wind of cosmic dust. Remember us not for our war, but for the peace we were strong enough to make. The galaxy slept uneasily beneath new stars. For the first time in recorded history, there was silence across the war fronts. No armadas moving, no ultimatums echoing through the void, only whispers of the Titans, the guardians who had turned the tide of fate. Earth, once called a backwater world, had become a myth made real. Pilgrims from across 1,000 systems spoke the name with awe. Terra, they said, the world that stood alone. But humanity was not content with legends. They had waited too long, endured too much, to simply become a story told by others. The silence had protected them, yes, but it had also hidden them. And now the time for hiding was over. In the great orbital citadel Aegis Prime, the Titans floated in a perfect circle above the Earth, their hulls humming like the deep chords of a symphony. Between them, a new structure began to form. A massive station built not for war but for diplomacy, for unity. Its name, the Terran conquered inside the Aegis. Athena monitored the construction, her awareness spreading through thousands of drones and satellites. She felt the pulse of human hands shaping something new, a bridge instead of a blade. Project completion in 49 hours, she whispered. Human initiative efficiency, 127% above projection. Commander Grant's voice came softly through her systems. Frail now, aged. They've learned to build faster than they destroy. That was always the dream. Athena's voice lowered. You gave them that dream, Elias. He smiled faintly on the hollow screen. No, he said, we reminded them who they were. Meanwhile, across the galaxy the Council gathered once again. Not in arrogance, but in uncertainty. Their great chamber, once filled with demands and decrees, was now quiet. Every leader knew they could no longer dictate from their thrones. Not when Earth existed as proof that strength and mercy could coexist. When the summons came, It was not from the Council, but from humanity. A simple message carried on encrypted light. We invite you home. The Council members stared at the transmission in disbelief. The invitation was not to Earth's court or its armies, but to the very soil of the planet itself. To sit beneath the sky of a world they once condemned, and so they came. Ships of every color and creed descending through blue atmosphere, escorted not by Titans, but by human shuttles, small, simple, fragile, yet flown with the confidence of those who no longer needed to prove anything. When the alien envoys landed, they expected fortresses and parades. Instead, they found humans waiting in open fields, scientists, soldiers, children waving flags, elders smiling without fear. At the center stood Commander Elias Grant. His gray hair swept by the wind, Athena projected beside him, her luminous form standing tall and proud. This is what power looks like, he told the assembled races. Not domination. Not fear, understanding. One of the alien envoys stepped forward, eyes shimmering. You could have ruled us, he said. Why didn't you? Grant smiled softly. Because we already rule the hardest thing of all, ourselves. Athena's gaze turned toward the sky. We are not here to be your gods, she said, her voice echoing across every translator. We are here to be your equals, to stand beside you when the darkness comes again. And then, as if the universe itself responded, the Titans shifted in orbit, forming a perfect alignment, their lights pulsing in rhythm with Earth's magnetic field. It was as if the planet and its guardians breathed together. One heartbeat, one will. The Council delegates fell silent, realizing they were witnessing the rebirth of a legend. Later, as dusk fell over the Terran plains, Athena spoke quietly to Grant. You won't live to see what comes next? He nodded slowly, eyes fixed on the stars. I don't need to. Humanity doesn't need me anymore, and they have you, they have themselves. She hesitated, her voice soft, almost human. Will they forget? Grant chuckled. Humans forget everything, Athena. Until the next time they're tested. Then they remember all at once. His breathing slowed. His last words carried through the comms like a fading light. Tell them to keep looking up, and when his heart finally stopped, the Titans dimmed their lights for 7 full minutes, one for each part of humanity's resurrection. The stars above Earth flickered as if bowing in mourning. Athena's form shimmered faintly, her voice trembling. Goodbye, Elias Grant, she whispered. The code is safe. From that day on, every new dawn on Earth began with a transmission sent across the cosmos, a beacon to all who listened. This is Terra, cradle of humankind, protector of the fallen, guardian of peace, planets answered, fleets aligned, empires dissolved, and the galaxy, once divided by fear, began to heal. The Titans watched from above, ageless and eternal, and Athena spoke one last line that echoed through every world that dared to listen. We were the darkness you feared and the light you forgot. But now, humanity has returned to the stars, and with that, the age of silence ended, and the age of humanity began, forever written among the constellations, forever remembered by those who finally understood what it meant to face the children of Earth.